Gentlemen, we are here today to start the PMI's Risk Management Certification course. And the certification name is, as you all know, PMI RMP, Risk Management Professional. So this is based on the second edition of the Risk Management Standard and PMBOK 6th edition. But the good news is that the Risk Management Standard has just been released day before yesterday. New standard for risk management, and the interesting thing this time what they are doing is that they are coming up with finalizing all the practice standards. Ultimately they are becoming standards. So practice standard of risk management is now going to be the standard for risk management for projects, programs and portfolios. It is not only the project risk management now, it is going to be projects, programs and portfolios. And then it is no more going to be the practice standard, it is going to be the standard. We have got another standard coming up for that, that is the earned value, that has also being promoted to the rank of the standard from the practice standard. I'll just be showing you what all kinds of standards are there and what all kinds of certifications are there. So let's move on with that. As far as I'm concerned, you all know me. My name is Suhail Iqbal, and I have been in the business of project management for quite some time now. At least for the last 20 years, I am teaching project management. I'm providing consultancies and doing things like that. And even before that, I have had about 20 years more experience in different fields like construction, civil engineering, computers, and general management. So here we are going to talk about the project risk management. Before we can move ahead with project risk management, I would like to clarify certain definitions or terms which are often confused. So generally I'll be covering this syllabus in a way that first of all we'll be clarifying those terminologies. Then I'll talk a bit about the role of change management in projects. Then we'll talk about the introduction to risk management, principles and concepts of risk management processes, planning, identification, analysis, qualitative, quantitative, risk response planning, implementation of risk response, and monitoring the risk. So first of all, let us talk about some confusing terms. How many of you confuse the words issue with problem, risk? What do you say about it? How do you define an issue? What is an issue? Okay, your mics are on. You can speak if you want. You can always raise your hand as if I know who wants to speak. Anyways, right, Mohit? Kya khayal hai? What is the issue? Ji, Mohit.
Any obstacles or any problem which is somehow linked to deliveries, and it could be the types could be many.
Okay. And how do you differentiate between issue and problem? जी शायद
जी
इश्यू और प्रॉब्लम में आप कैसे फर्क करते हैं?
I believe the next level of issue is the problem. You have something. Let's say you are supposed to deliver something, and you identified that because of these constraints or because of these issues or these external factors, you cannot solve this problem. You cannot. Those issues are there. So
Right.
if issues are unresolved, it becomes problem. And then some of the problems could be converted into change management. Some of the problems could be further advanced, go to advanced level. It could become one of your risks. Then you need to mitigate your risk. This is what I think here.
Okay. Ji Mohit, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I only want to add to some description. Shahid explained it really very well. So yeah, the means to my perception, the risk is some probable event in the future which has not yet happened.
Okay.
And the issue is means the risk which has happened.
Okay.
Yeah. So if a risk occurs, so it becomes an issue. Now you have a risk response strategy, you have your mitigation strategy, or like any other risk strategy in place to deal with that risk. And to the problem, to my perception, is that means any issue or like any unresolved issue or which becomes chronic and which you do not have any solutions for. So they become a problem on your project to solve.
Right, right. I would very much like to take the input from Khayyam, but we can't hear him. So probably Khayyam, if you can input by a chat in the chat window, we can see how do you relate risk and issue. Khayyam, you can answer by writing. Okay. Right. So we can wait for your reply. Okay. The interesting part is you people are very right in saying whatever you are saying. Actually, there is a relationship between risk and issue, and there is a relationship between issue and problem, and there is a relationship between problem and change. But you see, in all of this story, there is no direct relationship between risk and change. I hope you will try to understand this point. This is a very crucial point. People usually confuse the relationship between risk and change. They think that risk is change and change is risk. But this is absolutely wrong. Risk and change do not have any direct relationship at all. The relationship, I will, as it has been elaborated by you, I would say, even in our operational systems, we have SOPs, we have everything chalked out, written down, all the policies and procedures are existing. We have SOPs, standard operating procedures, and we are doing things according to that. Although we are doing the repetitive work, but sometimes some things will happen which will not be as per scheduled. So whatever that something is happening, which has a very low likelihood of happening because of the iterative nature of operations, that is actually the risk of something happening. And because we do not know about that risk, that reveals itself when it has happened. If we have not identified that risk already and we don't know about it, that will just happen. And as soon as that happens, which originally is a risk which we don't know, that becomes an issue. And if we do not resolve this issue, that grooms into a problem. What do you do with the issue? In good organizations, we do have an issue escalation path defined in their operations. Whenever there is an issue, you try to resolve it. If you can't resolve it, whom to report it? The next level that it is reported is escalated. The issue is escalated up. Ji Shahid.
Sir, I'm having a problem with the sequence. I don't know. There are some global risk or at the start of the project, you identify some risk, from day one. And
Uh-huh.
some of the risk comes in during the project because of some external factors and some other areas.
Right.
So I'm having a problem because, some issue converts into risk. If issues
Uh-huh.
are not solved, it becomes problem. And, sometimes those issues become your problem. Sorry, those
Yeah.
issues become your risk. So what you explained is the other way around, that, the risk become issue. I
I
am
understand.
unable to get it. How a risk can
Okay.
get an issue.
Okay.
Risk can always be mitigated goals and some with external factor, but risk is already at the elevated level,
Oh, right.
and I believe issue is at the lower level. If you can just
Okay.
explain
Okay.
it. Yes.
Okay. Let me explain it a bit again. You see, just just keep this thing in mind. Anything which has any likelihood of happening, anything which has any likelihood of happening is a risk. No matter it is going to damage you or it is going to benefit you, because risk could be positive or negative. That is another story. We'll talk about it. But anything which has a probability, which has a chance, which may happen, we are not sure that it will happen, which may happen is a risk. Now, immaterial of the fact whether you are talking about a project or operation. So just establish this definition that risk is some uncertainty. Risk is something which is likely to happen. We are not sure this thing will happen. If we are sure something is going to happen, then that is a fact, that is not a risk. I will design an activity to handle that. For if I have to construct a wall, constructing a wall is a fact. And to do that, I have to have a certain number of activities. So I'll design those activities because wall has definitely to be constructed. But while I'm constructing wall, something wrong can happen to something. That is an uncertainty. I'm not sure this wrong thing will happen or not. There's a likelihood that this will happen. So this I'll record it as a risk. So as I said, it is not only the risks in projects. Risks are global. Risks are kind of within the operations. They can be at any level, small or big. But first we must understand that until and unless a risk has occurred, till that time it is called a risk. The moment that risk occurs, the moment that risk occurs, the uncertainty vanishes. There is no uncertainty anymore. Now it becomes an issue. This is what is the right definition or linkage between risk and issue. Now I do understand that many people look at it otherwise. They say because of this risk, certain issues have risen. You see, because of this issue, certain risks have risen. But you see, the issue is a fact. Issue is a fact, and the uncertainties lingering around that fact can be further risks, can be more risks into the future. But how did this issue come into being? This issue was also a risk, which after having materialized have become an issue. Right? Now I have to deal with this issue. I have to escalate it. I have to solve it. If I don't solve it, it becomes a problem, and so on and so forth. And then we'll land up to the stage where the change happens. But right now, I just wanted to clarify a risk which happens becomes an issue. And the risks you are mentioning, they are the subsequent risks. They are not the same risk. They're the subsequent risks which are likely to happen in this new scenario when this issue has occurred. So you will keep identifying risk. More risk will be coming up. So did I answer your question, Shahid?
Yes, sir.
Is everybody satisfied with this answer, or I need to explain it more? Anybody? Mohid? Okay, okay, nobody. Right. So if that point is clear, then I was talking about when there is an issue. Okay. let us see. The risk may or may not be known to you. May or may not be known to you. If you knew it, you could have taken certain actions during the life of the risk to mitigate it. You said mitigation. So to mitigate the risk, you can take certain actions while the risk is still uncertain and it has yet not occurred. The actions you take after a risk occurs, this is not risk management. This is not risk management. This is issue management. Because risk has become an issue, and now whatever you do is issue management. But while the risk is uncertain, and the steps you can take to reduce the chances of this risk occurring or reducing the damage it will cause is basically risk management. Any comments on that? Anybody who does not like my definition?
No, it's clear, sir.
Okay.
Clear to me.
Okay. So I would strongly recommend that you should object to anything which you don't like. If it doesn't clash, it does clash with your own ideology or whatever you know, please fight it out, and we'll debate it and we'll understand it. So when a risk becomes an issue, then comes the matter of resolving this issue. So who is concerned about the issue? Naturally, the person in the whole supply chain who actually has encountered the issue is the immediate person who would respond to it, who try to respond to it. Maybe it is in his power to respond to it, or maybe it is beyond his power to respond to it. So if he can resolve the issue within his power, well and good. Otherwise, this issue has to be escalated to the next higher level, and this next higher level must have been defined in the organizational issue escalation path. You see, I am a worker, and in a conveyor belt process, there is a hindrance. Suddenly, there is a hindrance. So, conveyor belt is not working. I will try to fix it. It is in my power. I'll check certain things. Is electric connection there? Is everything which is within my power is working or not? If I can't find the problem, or maybe I can't resolve the problem, I have found the problem, but I can't resolve it, I'll go to my supervisor. I'll escalate the issue to him, and now ball is in his court. So he might be having more powers than what I have, more intelligence than what I have, and maybe he has more capacity to decision making. I do not have that much decision making capacity within my small little position. So the supervisor is a senior person. He probably, maybe he can buy a part and replace it. I can't do that. He might have authority to buy a part and replace that and get the conveyor belt working. So probably he will try to resolve it. And if he thinks that he also can't resolve it, then he also would take help of the issue escalation path. Who is next in line? He will escalate the issue to the next level. So prompt issue escalation, if you can resolve it, or escalate it. This is prompt action on an issue. If you don't take this action, the issue starts becoming rotten. It starts becoming problem. Or if we cause undue delay in resolving this issue at any stage, at any level, maybe it is lying in the pending tray of, somewhere in between in the issue escalation path, someone has just put it down there. So more time an issue remains unresolved, it remains lying, it starts getting rotten and start getting into a problem. So we do not want it to grow into a problem, because in that case, if it becomes a problem, then even if it could have been resolved at a lower level, now it cannot be resolved at a lower level. It has to go all the way up, because this has become a problem at the organizational level. So I'm not currently talking about the problem. I'm just talking about G. Shayad, please. G. Shayad.
Yes, sir. Sir, just I wanted to look that where you will place error, bugs, and defects.
Okay. There is a risk of an error occurring. Isn't it a risk? What do you think?
Mm,
You did not.
sir, it could be, but you know, error could be because of any one mistake in the deliverables or in any of the activity. The deliverables are faulty,
Okay.
or the process which you have mapped is not giving you the right output. So that is one of the
Wonderful.
errors.
Right. But
Yeah.
that's a likelihood.
So
That is a likelihood. That's the
yeah, it
likelihood,
is. Yeah.
right? Every risk has a cause. Every risk has a cause. Risks are not,
Yeah.
suddenly appearing from out of the space. Every risk has a cause and every risk has an effect. So normal daily life things are risks. If something you are sure will happen is not a risk, is a fact. But if something you think may happen, there is a likelihood that it may happen. This is a risk. And I am not saying that we are only talking about the negative risk. It could be a positive risk. It may be something opportunist for you. Maybe it is an opportunity which you can benefit out of it. Ji Shahid.
Yes, sir, that is there. So that's the error part. So about defect and bug, you know, that is purely in the development environment, like the software development
Okay.
environment, you know, where you will encounter a lot of bugs and
Okay.
defects. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Tell me, when you were designing this product, did you design the defect or error? Did you design it for yourself?
No, no, no,
You did
no.
not design it. So it was, this just happened. Now. You did your level
Yeah.
best to design the thing as best as you can, but there was some uncertainty due to which that error or defect has risen. And now you are supposed to fix it, right? So this is the risk which I am talking about.
Okay. Okay. I
So
got it now. Yeah.
previously what we were talking about was that a risk just happens, then it becomes an issue. But the question is, did you know about the risk or not? Did you try to know about the risk? What all can go wrong or right with you, or your operations, or your project, or whatever environment you are in? What can happen to you? What is the likelihood of anything happening in this environment? So, if you are a thinking person, you would be proactive and you would like to dig down and find all the possible happenings which could occur. Which could occur. I'm saying they have not occurred, which could occur. No matter, even if their possibility or their chance is very low. But still, anything which can happen, you try to conceive it. You are trying to identify the risks. Anything which can be identified is a known risk, is something known, right? But there still are going to linger certain risks which a human mind cannot conceive. They are but natural. Only nature knows what can happen to you. So there will still remain some risks which you cannot identify, which you cannot recognize, no matter how deeply you think, how proactive you are, but there will still be certain risks which are unknowns. Such unknowns, when they occur, only then you know what has happened to you, and that is when they occur as an issue. Ji Mohit, just hold on a minute. Ji, now you can speak.
Sir, there is always an uncertainty for like almost anything
Right?
happening.
Right?
So there is a degree of doubt you can put into anything, and especially on the project. So means my question is that to what level you are gonna go? Like for an uncertainty level means I could go to up to this level that maybe I don't know tomorrow the Earth can bang into Mars,
Good.
right? Means running all those what if scenarios and so on.
Mm.
So what would be the reasonable level? Means this all risk management boils down to, because you have to maintain a certain level of risk management in your projects or programs.
Exactly.
So that you could manage them.
Wonderful question.
With efficiency, yeah.
Yep, that's a very good question, and this is actually the further headings below risk. You can see hazard, disaster, crisis. These are things which I would be explaining, but yes, I would like to answer you. You don't need to be as proactive that you try to you always keep analyzing the situation and always keep finding all the possibilities, because everything does not concern you. First key is anything which concerns you, whatever your environment, your work, your project, whatever it is, what concerns you. As far as the project is concerned, because we are talking about project management, I'm bringing the story back into the project. What is important for me in a project? In project, I have to safeguard the 3 project objectives. You might have known them as triple constraint, but they are no more called triple constraint. Scope, time, and cost, they are the 3 objectives of any project. So once these objectives are defined, scope is defined, schedule is defined, and cost is defined, anything which can affect that, any one of these, is my risk. Anything which can damage my scope, which can increase or decrease my schedule, increase or decrease my cost, these all things would be called as risk. All the uncertainties which could impact scope, time, and cost in a project are my risks. So I'm not supposed to be thinking about the whole wide world, not a big bang theory or all those things. I'm only concerned about my job, my project, and its 3 objectives: scope, time, and cost. Now, having said that, there is another level to it. How deep should you go while you are identifying these risks? Naturally, you have to look at the need and requirement of your project. You do not want to be paralyzed by paralysis through analysis. We don't want to be analyzing so much that we forget about doing the actual work. Therefore, appropriate time which can be spared for proactivity is only required for risk management. You do not spend any extra time on risk management. Although I do say you must give as much time as possible, but you do not want to take away the time of execution of the project itself. So give due attention to the risk, go to the requisite level of detail which is important. Try to dig down risks as deep as possible within the allowable time and your constraints, and you can move ahead with it. Jimoid, are you okay with it?
Perfect. I'm good with the explanation. Yeah.
Shahid Saab, anything from your side?
Sir, all good.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so what I was saying was, I was at the issue. I said issue escalation path must be defined. I said if issue is not resolved, it becomes a problem. And even if it does not become a problem, an issue which is unresolvable, it cannot be solved by any level in the escalation path, will ultimately land up to the top level of the execution of the organization. Right now I'm not talking about project, I'm talking about organization, right? I'll come to project. But right now I'm just talking about an organization in which an issue has arisen and it has been escalated, and it could not be resolved at any level, and it has reached to the top level of the organization. This is an unresolved issue which has now become a problem just due to the mere fact that it is unresolvable. It has grown into a problem not because it was not attended to in time. Naturally, that is also one of the reasons. If an issue is not resolved in time, it will also become a problem, but an issue which cannot be resolved otherwise will also become a problem. So now it is a problem for the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of the organization, is now bothered about it. Now another interesting fact here is the issue has gone right from the bottom to the top. At the bottom, the technical knowledge of the person handling this issue initially was maximum. He knew everything about the conveyor belt, how it works, and which button operates what, and every detail, every technical detail is known to him. But he exercises minimal power, minimal decision making. So he has escalated the issue to the next level, supervisor, who also knows things technically, not as well as the person who was dealing with the conveyor belt, but he has some decision power and he could replace some parts and all that. And as the level keeps increasing, the technical expertise keeps diminishing and the decision power starts becoming more. Now we are at the level of CEO facing this problem. He has all the power to decide whatever he likes, but he does not have technical know-how as much as it was down below. Now, naturally, the people who have been escalating this issue all the way up are also suggesting certain options, certain alternatives are being provided. He is considering them, but he needs an outside view. He may consult someone from outside, some expert or consultant or subject matter expert or whatever he wants. Or maybe he hires a system analyst or some kind of a person who would tell him that this problem requires a change in the organization. This problem cannot be resolved until and unless the working of the organization as it is going on right now has to be changed to accommodate or fixing this problem. So with every problem, there is an opportunity to improve. So there are two things. One is an opportunity. You seeing an opportunity, you try to bring some change in the organization. Now there was a problem, and removing that problem gave you an opportunity to enhance and improve your organization. This is the case for the change. So whenever a problem reaches optimum level and at that time it is to be fixed, then it has to be an organizational change happening into the organization. And how to bring organizational change, that is my next topic. So are you with me on that?
Yes, absolutely, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
wonderful. Okay, so now we understand that the problem at organizational level has grown so big that it tantamounts to bringing a change into the organization. And to bring change in the organization, the normal running operations cannot be stopped. You can't say that we are fixing this conveyor belt process and therefore the factory will not be operational for next 6 months. Because for next 6 months, factory is not operational. Uh, People will starve to death. There will be no profit, there will be no salary, there will be nothing. So this can't happen. So what we do is we let the operation run while this experimentation, how to run the system alternatively, is being designed. So we have to experiment on the solution, on the new solution. We have to come up with a solution. We have to experiment on that. And when that experiment is successful and we are confident about it, then only we will replace it with the existing system. Right? So this is how the change is brought into an organization. Are you with me on that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So if you are convinced that change can only be brought in by doing some experimentation, some designing, some whatever, while the operations are being run, that means we have to take on a challenge to create that solution, and that challenge is a temporary endeavor. And that is exactly what is the definition of a project. Change is brought into an organization through projects. Every project has an objective, has a challenge to conquer, has a strategic objective to meet, and ultimately, this is an experiment. It's kind of experiment. We are not sure about it. There is a lot of uncertainty. And in this uncertain environment, I design something, I pull up a team separately from the operations, and this team will experiment on it, will design the solution, and will try uh, to simulate the changed environment. And if that experiment is successful, that means the project is successful. Only then the output of the project would be inducted into the operations, thus replacing the existing SOPs. The existing system will change when a successful project's output or the product is adopted into the operations. Project finishes. It is no more to exist. And the consequences are the result, are the product of the project is, is now going to replace the existing operations with a new SOP, with a new operation system. And project is no more. So project was a temporary endeavor. It was to create this, meet this objective, create this unique product, which could be a product, a service, or a result, whatever. And once that is created, project is finished. Project, as soon as it fulfills its promise, it fulfills the requirements, project is no more. Project team is dissolved, but the output of the project is adopted by the organization. Ji Janaab, Shahid sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, you are explaining, but I felt that you are moving some slides also. But what we can see is the main slide only.
Yeah, and I'm not moving on slides. I'm
Ah,
just
okay.
explaining.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right.
Is it understandable whatever I'm saying?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So now you have established that any change, if it is to be brought into an organization, especially at the organizational level, organizational changes are brought in through projects. We do agree to that. But beside that, we should also understand that projects are not the only tools through which the changes are brought into an organization. The project has got a complete family of its own, which is called organizational project management. And this organizational project management includes projects, programs, and portfolios. Any opinions on that? Heard about organizational project management before?
Yes, sir.
So what does that mean? What is organizational project management?
I mean, again, sir, as you have explained that, the three level of projects, you know, I would explain it that, you are handling multiple projects for different sectors or for different environment.
Hmm.
Let's say you are running three projects in healthcare, you are running four projects in IT or engineering sector or construction sector.
Hmm.
But that is again on a project level on which, a single project manager is assigned.
Hmm.
But on the second level, there could be a program, so a project manager is running a program. So within that program, there are certain projects going on for different sectors. And if you go above, for strategic and high level, budget and capex and opex control, and for C level again, then there are some portfolios. Within a single portfolio, you can have multiple programs, and a single program can have multiple projects. So this is the overall distribution of projects within any organization.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Mohit, what do you say? Do you agree with that?
I would add to the description Shahid already made. So the program is a collection of related projects, but on a portfolio level, we can have multiple programs, means they might not be related to each other.
Right. Okay. Very good. You further explained and clarified certain things. You see, the program is just not combination or collection of a number of projects. If it were, then we could have called it a mega project. A mega project with many sub projects in it. This is also a combination of small little projects. But when we talk about programs, a program is an interrelated combination. The program has interrelated, intercoordinated projects which all are working for the same purpose, same strategic objective as the program itself has. Moreover, the projects will always have a product to produce, product, service, or result. Whereas a program does not have a product. Program has a benefit to deliver. Program has its own strategy and it has to realize certain benefits in long run. So it is responsible for the long run, whereas project is not responsible for the long run. For example, you are asked to construct a school. Your job finishes when you have completed the school and handed it over to the authorities. Now, why was this school constructed? For education purposes. And the children from that area will be educated there for a number of years. So that purpose is not the scope of the project. The benefit of education would be realized over a number of years. So whomsoever ordered for the construction of the school is responsible for realization of the benefit. Project manager is not responsible for teaching the children or ensuring that school is working fine. But when we talk about a program is responsible for long-term benefits of more than one projects. And all those projects products integratedly yield those benefits which are of the program. Every project has some benefits yielded in a long run, but it coordinates all the benefits of all the projects and unifies them into the program benefit. This is the purpose of program. So program is not simply a large project, because no matter how big a project is, a project will always have a deliverable. Project will never address the benefits. So this is the difference between a mega project and a program. Then you said programs will have the projects. Yes, of course, programs will have the projects, interrelated projects. But programs can exist independently as standalone also. There could be certain programs which are directly answerable to the top management, and they are not part of any program. Moreover, all the standalone projects and all the programs running in your organization represent the portfolio of that organization. This is called the project portfolio of that organization. That means all the standalone projects and all the programs of that organization represent the project portfolio of that organization. And that project portfolio could have been divided into sub-portfolios if you like. Maybe you say that out of the whole portfolio of my organization, I am categorizing the IT projects and programs into a IT portfolio, and engineering projects and programs into a engineering portfolio or whatever you want. You can have more than one portfolios, more than 10 portfolios, whatever you want. Maybe like SUI Northern and SUI Southern. SUI has two portfolios, Northern portfolio and Southern portfolio. And they have their own portfolio, their own projects, their own programs. Everything is separate for them. But overall, both of these portfolios are actually the portfolios of SUI. So that's exactly what I'm saying. So this whole science of combining these portfolios and having programs and standalone projects in them, and programs having their projects within the programs, this whole thing is called organizational project management, but not without the fourth element, which is called organizational enablers. So these are the four things: project, programs, portfolios, and organizational enablers. Organizational enablers are just like it is the glue which joins the project, programs, and portfolios together. This is the operational strain. Projects and programs are not operational at all, whereas portfolio has many things common to operations. Portfolio looks at the projects and programs and also at some of the operations and unifies them. So the organizational enablers are various things which are enabling these three items, project, programs, and portfolios, to be properly tied together. So organizational project management is a separate standard, OPM, the standard for organizational project management. This is the fourth core standard. PMBOK for project management, standard for program management, the standard for portfolio management, and the fourth standard is the standard for organizational project management. All of these four things put together is your core PMI core standard. PMI core standard include these four things. So this is basically the story of change. A change in an organization is brought through organizational project management. Just to, previously what we described was a brief description. The change is brought through projects. Just we said that, but that is not the whole story. Change is brought through organizational project management. Is a complete infrastructure within an organization which is responsible for change, whereas operations of the organizations are separate. They are working separately. And change-oriented initiatives, these are the organizational project management, which include projects, operations, programs, portfolios, and organizational enablers. So far, so good?
I'm with you, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Wonderful.
sir. Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Okay, let me move on. Let me show you some slides also. I know you are missing that. I am showing you some book definitions. Issue. In issue we have got many dictionary definitions, like is the issue of a magazine, or issue of water from a flowing body, or whatever. But issue management in business refers to the discipline and process of managing business issues, and usually implies using technology to electronically automate the process. So issue management in a way is to represent automation. But in project management, purpose of issue management is to ensure that any concerns recognized during a project are addressed in a timely manner and do not go unresolved until they become major problems. Now here this definition is only within the project, the issues rising from within the project. What I had been describing to you was issue at a larger scale, at the organizational scale. So far, what risks and issues we talked about were the organizational level things, which grew out into the problems, and ultimately to resolve them, we resorted to the change management, and for change management, we had the organizational project management. So we initiated the project to resolve that issue, and the project we started is something we have never done before. This is a complete challenge. So there is a lot of uncertainty. So this project we are going to do is going to be full of risks, full of risks. There will be so many risks. So I have to be very careful. There is no SOP existing here. I just can't put my foot on a footstep and keep moving up. I have to create the footsteps. I have to plan and design everything. And whatever I am designing, it has never been done before. So I am going to be doing something new, and therefore everything might be risky. So using my previous experience, using the organizational historic database and everything, I will be very careful in my planning of the project. And while I'm planning in detail, to the best of my knowledge and to the knowledge of all people who I can get access to, subject matter experts, consultants, and also everybody who could be consulted. But my project will have a lot many uncertainties, because projects have more uncertainties than operations, much more. So my project is going to have its own risk. The risk management we are going to study here is the risk within the project. This is the definition. The project management purpose of issue management is to ensure that any concerns recognized during a project are addressed in a timely manner and do not go unresolved until they become major problems. So this is what it is. Problem. I hope I have very well explained. It is just the book definition or dictionary definition. So forget about it. I have already explained a problem. Issue when remains unresolved grows out into a problem. Change also we have discussed that if you have to resolve a problem at organizational level, you have to bring some change. And to bring some change, you have to take on some change related initiative. And you see, we talked about the project and all that. Within the project, let's talk about it. Within the project, if I have to resolve an issue, then I have already planned things for my project. But to resolve this issue, my plan will not work. My existing plan may not work. So I will have to progressively elaborate and change my plan. So on the run, while the project is going and running, I am continuously changing my plan, making accommodation for all these risks and their effects. So change management within the project is continuous in nature, and I'll also show you how change control mechanism works in a project. So change management is a structured approach to transitioning individuals, teams, and organizations from a current state to a desired future state. This is exactly what we are achieving through a project also. My organization faced a problem. We are at a point A, and after resolving this problem, we want to get to a point B. So the question is, we don't know how to get from A to B. So we will devise a way for getting from A to B. This is my transition from A to B, and this is the new status. Future status is B, and the current status is A. So change management will get me from point A to point B. In project management, change management refers to a project management process where changes to a project are formally introduced and approved. Within a project, whenever there is a change, whatever we planned earlier might have been misplanned. As soon as I know and there is a change request, I should amend my plan and put things right. So continuously, while I am conducting my project, I am improving and enhancing my project management plan, and I keep bringing changes to it. And every change must be properly approved. If I don't do that, if I do not exercise control over my plan, then probably everything will be, put on my shoulder. So my boss should be involved. If I'm a project manager, My boss should be involved in the baselining of the plan. So plan cannot be changed without the explicit permission of my boss. Project manager has absolutely no permission to make any changes to the project by himself. So he can follow the change mechanism, change request mechanism, change management path he can follow and achieve and attain the approval from the boss. And only then the changes to the project management plan will be validated. I am not saying that a project management plan cannot be changed, but it can be changed only through a proper procedure. The field of change management grew from the recognition that organizations are composed of people, and the behaviors of people make up the output of an organization. So, if we have to bring a change into an organization, we have to change the behavior of the people. Because if we don't, people are the biggest hurdles to the change. They want to maintain the status quo. Status quo maintenance is probably the easiest way out. Although everyone wants change, but nobody wants change which is being enforced on them. Therefore, the best way to bring change is to involve all the people in the change. Their input should be included into the change. They should be made part of the change and they will buy in to the change initiative. As far as uncertainty is concerned, the condition of being uncertain, doubtful is uncertainty. If there is something uncertain, then where we have a probability, where we have a chance, where we have a percentage of doubt, whether this will happen or this will not happen. And this is actually paving its path towards the risk. Uncertainty leads to risk. So, what is risk? From ISO 31000, risk management is the identification, assessment, and prioritization of risks, followed by coordinated economical application of resources to minimize, monitor, and control the probability and the impact of fortunate events. So, as we were talking earlier, we need to identify the risks very carefully and as much in detail as possible. We need to assess or analyze each of the identified risks in some level of detail, and this assessment can be divided into even further two parts which we will study later. That is, one is the qualitative analysis and other is the quantitative analysis, and in that we will actually be able to prioritize the risks. The bigger risks are to be handled first. The risks which have bigger impact, they should be addressed first. So we need to prioritize the risks, and then we need to coordinate an effort plan to create a response for these risks and then apply those responses and ultimately control the risk. It is to maximize the realization of opportunities for the positive risk or minimize the impact of the negative risks. Risks can come from uncertainty in financial markets, as you were saying. The risk is not only in operations or in projects. The biggest risks are financial risks. So they can come from the uncertainties from the financial markets, project failures, legal liabilities, credit risk, accidents, natural causes and disasters, as well as deliberate attacks from an adversary. So these are all various kinds of risks. So the positive side and negative side of risk which I talked about, the negative risk is actually the threat. Threat is the negative risk. Risk is composed of two parts. One is the probability of happening, and number two is the damage it will cause, or in case if it is a positive risk, the benefit it is going to yield. So if it is negative, if it is a threat, then the possible damage it can cause. So a threat is an act of coercion wherein wherein an act is proposed to elicit negative response. It is communicated intent to inflict harm or loss on another person. So this is something bad. But the opportunity is exact opposite of threat, but it is also a risk. Although we mentally we do not get convinced that a risk can be positive, because the word risk has been associated with pessimism. We always refer to risk as something bad, something negative. But risk is just a probability of happening. Therefore, that probability of happening could be for anything good or anything bad. And if it is anything bad, it is threat. If it is anything good, it is opportunity. A business opportunity involves the sales and lease of any product, service, or equipment that will enable purchaser licensee to begin a business. A licensor or seller of a business opportunity usually declares that it will secure or assist the buyer in finding a suitable location or provide the product to the purchaser licensee. So you can see that if you see an opportunity, you will go for the business. If opportunity is not there, you are not going to invest in that business. Okay, let's move on a notch up. What is a hazard? I would say, as I had explained earlier, you only restrict yourself to your domain. Don't go beyond your domain. If you're working in project, then talk about the project risk management. Don't talk about the Big Bang, for that matter. Hazard is something much bigger than risk, and it is not in the purview of the project manager at all. Like if earthquake can come, then earthquake is going to damage the whole country. It is not only my project which is going to be damaged. Moreover, I have no means of eradicating the earthquake or stopping the earthquake or doing something like that. What I can do at most within my project's capacity and capability, that much I will undertake. For example, I am constructing a building. I can construct a stronger building which can bear more of the Richter scale. Probably that is the maximum I can do. But what if, due to this earthquake, the the ground opens up and whole of my building falls into the earth? This I could not have resisted. I could not have mitigated this risk. So this is not a risk at all. This is a hazard. Hazard is a grandfather of risk, and project management has absolutely no place for considering hazards. Hazard is someone else's business. Maybe it is God's business, maybe it's government's business, maybe it's United Nations business. We don't know. But this is not my business. So as far as hazards are concerned, I cannot do anything about it. I will talk only about my domain, and that is the project or operations or whatever is your domain. Hazard is a situation that poses a level of threat to life, health, property, or environment. Most hazards are dormant or potential, with only a theoretical risk of harm. However, once a hazard becomes active, it can create an emergency situation. It is just like you are having uh, a fault line in Pakistan. So there is a threat all the time that there will be earthquake or there will be shocks or whatever, but that might remain dormant for 60 years. That means the probability of happening has gone very low, but the damage is very huge, too big a damage. So you see, in Pakistan, the earlier earthquake was back in 60s in Quetta, and the next biggest earthquake was we just saw. So you see, almost 40-50 years gap, and then we had this thing. So the probability was very low, but the damage was very high. and such like things are called hazards, and we can't avoid them. Hazards could be natural, it could be man-made also. Like you see, if there is a nuclear war and there is a nuclear explosion, that is a hazard. It's a man-made hazard. Hazard does not exist when it is happening. So, just like risk, when risk occurs, it becomes an issue. When a hazard occurs, what does it make? A hazardous situation that has come to pass is called an incident. When hazard occurs, incident occurs. Hazard and vulnerability interact together to create risk. But again, I will not debate what kind of risk he is talking about. This is too big a risk for a project. If you are looking at it from the framework of a project management, this is not your risk. Now, when a risk and a hazard occurs, there is a crisis situation. I should first talk about, let me see. Yeah. Okay, when a hazard occurs, it is a disaster, right? The incident which occurred, after that incident, there is a widespread disaster. There is complete, um, what do you say, loss of life and, property and everything. There's big destruction. The immediate step a government or people can take is to reduce, to take measures to remove the debris, to get the people to the hospital, and things like that. This is disaster management. An occurrence causing widespread destruction and distress, informal or total failure, a dinner party was a disaster. Disaster is a perceived tragedy, being either a natural calamity or man-made catastrophe. It is a hazard which has come to fruition. A hazard, in turn, is a situation which poses a level of threat to life, health, property, or that may deleteriously affect society or an environment. Ji Mohi.
Sir, I have a question regarding the hazard itself. Uh, because like means I have a concept which is contrary to what you have told covered under this heading. So my question is that for hazards means they usually are the natural incidents which you do not have any reasonable control over, like the earthquakes, floods, or like means any war could be initiated, or a nuclear threat. So my question is that there might be some things that you could still do, like means an instant example which comes into my mind is for Japan, where there is the tendency of like having the earthquake is higher. So what they do is they design the building in that way that is earthquake resistant. So means there is like some sort of, even means to the degree means one could argue that there might be an earthquake of like means which is so greater on a Richter scale that nothing could survive, but still means from their past data they can reliably estimate that okay, for this level of earthquake or this magnitude of earthquake we have this building already designed,
Right.
especially for some other projects, like means if I'm a project manager and means I'm setting up something, or I'm doing a construction activity. So although means I do not have control over a rainy or a monsoon season or a flood season, but still I could schedule my project in such a way that I could avoid that period or that harm being done to the project.
Right.
So means although they are natural incidents which you cannot control those incidents, but you could define or design your project in such a way that you could like somehow get some protection against them.
I fully agree with you, and I actually said that. I said whatever is in your capacity within the domain of your work. If your project is construction of a building, it is your responsibility to protect it as much as possible. But naturally, you cannot encounter, or you cannot, completely remove the effects of that disaster. Or for that matter, it is not a total solution. This is a temporary solution. I can build a building up to a specific Richter scale, and anything beyond that is naturally not going to stand in front of the disaster. So my point is exactly the same as you are saying, but at the same time you must realize where you stand. You are a manager of a project, or you are head of the disaster management cell of the government of Pakistan. You have different responsibilities. Disaster management cell will have greater risks to look at, and they have more liberty to handle them. They have more powers. But I am a small project manager, just responsible for constructing one building. So I can make all, the protections within the domain of my project and within the funding I can afford for my project. That was my point. So I cannot take on the responsibility of a hazard. Is it okay?
Yes, that's right. Means to really agree means because being a project manager, I may not be having that available or that kind of have a control or that vision to look into those things means, but like I could adjust some of the project exactly.
Exactly. So, Shahid Saab, I'm sorry I didn't talk to you earlier.
No, no, it's okay, it's okay. Sir, you have explained a while ago, maybe last couple of minutes,
Hmm.
that it all depends that the hazard and disaster depends on role, that what kind of role a particular project manager is into.
Okay.
As you have explained that the Met department head or the other person could have different. But what is my concern or my point or what question I want to ask is that a while ago, while explaining hazard, you mentioned incident. That because the hazards is not under your control. It is maybe UNO, maybe government, maybe some other factors on which you don't have some control.
Hmm.
So incident is not somehow directly linked to hazards. Incident could happen in a normal operational environment or within your project. An incident happened,
Okay.
which could be operational in nature.
Right.
So that is the incident management. So
Hmm.
the incident again, you can categorize incident into the operational activities and some incidents which are related to hazards, which you
Right.
cannot control really.
Okay. The incident as a result of a hazard is called a disaster. The name of the incident which results as a result of the hazard is called a disaster. Once a hazard occurs, you are in a disaster situation, and you then control the disaster. Disaster management is that you are removing the debris, you are getting the injured to the hospital and dead bodies to the graveyards and all that. The immediate action you take after a hazard has occurred is disaster management. And the long term action you take to bring the life of that area to normalcy is crisis management. Do you get my point?
Right. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
That is crisis management. So this is disaster management. So hazard, disaster, and crisis is not the project subject. I am just
Yes. Yeah.
explaining it to clarify that this is a completely different family of actions. And this is not my domain. This is not my project or even organization's domain. This is much bigger than
Sir,
me.
somehow these could be categorized in I don't know, sir, but external environmental factors (EEF)
Of course, of course,
can we categorize? Yeah.
of
Yeah.
course, of
Okay.
course.
Yeah.
These things will. These are natural disasters and all those things. But you see, when I am identifying the risks of my project, I will take into account the possible hazards, disasters, and crises also. As you said, these are the enterprise environmental factors. So this is about crisis. So a crisis is any unstable or dangerous social situation regarding economic, military, personal, political, or societal affairs, especially one involving an impending abrupt change. More loosely, it is a term meaning a testing time or emergency event. So crisis can go on for a long time. After the earthquake, immediate one month or so was the immediate disaster management. That was handling the shock, immediate shock, and then was the crisis management, which took maybe 6 months or a year. After which, Kashmir came out to be normal. Now, if you go to Kashmir, there will be hardly a sign that shows that people are not living normal. People are normal. The life has come back to normalcy. So the crisis has been managed. Now, I could have my objection to that the crisis can be managed naturally or it can be managed even more efficiently. So if you even if a hazard occurs on a planet where there is no human beings, it will also come to normalcy one day. But being human, what have we contributed? How fast were we to bring the life to normal? That is the point. So we rely on the nature and we do less than the nature itself. Last thing is force majeure. Force majeure means is a common clause normally in contracts which essentially frees both parties from liability or obligation when an extraordinary event or circumstance beyond the control of the parties, such as war, strike, riot, crime, act of nature, in other words, a hazard occurs, flood, earthquake, volcano, etc., prevents one or both parties from fulfilling their obligations under the contract. So, if the force majeure clause, if there is a war, a contractor is working for me. I am supposed to be paying him some money, and I could not pay him due to the war, or he was supposed to construct something for me, and he could not do it because of the war. We cannot penalize each other due to the uncontrollable situation, which is called the force majeure. However, force majeure is not intended to excuse negligence or other malfeasance of a party. Meaning what? That we cannot use force majeure as an excuse. That is just because it was raining, I couldn't do the job. Rain is natural, sir. Rain is natural, but did you know it is going to rain? Did you check the weather reports? So if it was likely to rain, why did you plan your work in that time? We are talking about unforeseen. Force majeure is unforeseen. This is the hazardous situation. For example, this excuse thing is where non-performance is caused by the usual and natural consequences of external forces. Predicted rain stops an outdoor event. So you should have arranged an alternate thing. Why should the event stop? And where the intervening circumstances are specifically contemplated. So if it can be controlled, it is your responsibility. If it is in the hands of nature, then it is force majeure. Right? Any comments so far?
Sir, I'm good.
Wonderful.
They're all good, all good.
Okay, Khyam, any comments from your side? Khyam, I think you should fix your mic, and tomorrow we would love to hear from you because you are giving a lot of input. I can't read all of it. Yes, you have written some very good points there. Right. Anyways, so should we be moving ahead? Okay. So what I do is let me first show you some let me show you the risk management handbook, and just give me a moment. I'll just get it out. Have you had access to downloaded the RMP handbook?
Yes, I did. I did from PMI.
Okay, I just wanted to refer to that, but I am unable to locate it here. Okay, let me go to the PMI website. It was lying somewhere here, and I just misplaced it.
Is it recently changed?
Slightly, I think some things might have been changed. It was reorganized. I just misplaced my presentation. It had everything, but I'll find it out. But for the time being, we'll just download it. Actually, I'm more interested in the PMI RMP, in the exam content outline, because that is what is necessary to
Yeah.
prepare for the exam. So this is the exam
So
content.
when is this exam expiring? It's
This will take some time because the new book has just come day before yesterday. So this will take about 3 to 6 months. Don't worry. You are not
so
afraid.
if the new book has come, if the new book has come, so it means currently the exam is based on the previous book, and that
Yeah,
will
yeah,
continue maybe for next 3 months,
exactly. But
3 4 months.
I will teach you things from the new book also. So if at all, in the change period, if there is, you should have the latest knowledge. There is no problem with that. But
Yeah, that is okay. That is okay. But sir, it's not a good approach to apply for the exam or go for exam. I
mhm.
think within next the moment they change the exam, then the next 3 to 6 months are critical, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If there is uncertainty.
But right now, the uncertainty has yet not started. But it is likely to
Yeah,
start very soon. So take about 2 months. After 2 months, it will start getting crucial.
yeah,
Next
okay, okay. And you will not, yeah, okay.
2 to 3 months are safe. After that, you should avoid sitting in the exam.
Yeah, okay.
This is uh, this is the exam content outline. Actually, I just downloaded everything, and it is not locatable now. This is exam content outline, and the other book is the handbook. Okay, I'll briefly explain the handbook and the exam content outline. You can download them and you can
Sure.
go through them because this is useful to prepare for the exam. Especially the exam content outline is very important. Right now in front of you is the handbook. So, are you all PMPs? Muid, are you PMP?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Shahid Sahab, have you done PMP?
No, sir.
No, okay.
Not yet.
You have not applied for PMP. Okay. So, some of the information would be new to you because you have not applied before. So, I will explain those things. This handbook describes everything about the certification. The PMP book is a separate handbook. PMP certification handbook is a separate booklet. Almost the material is same. You see, this PMI RMP certification handbook is updated on 1st April 2019. Can you see that here on the top
Okay.
of the page? 1st April
Yes, sir.
2019. So this is
Yeah.
very latest. Okay. Do you understand the mechanism of the certification process? When you apply for the exam online, especially शायद साहब आपके लिए, when you apply for the
जी
exam,
sir.
just like I selected from here, I selected certification, then I went to RMP. Can you see here apply now?
Yeah.
You will click here. But Shahid sahab, are you a member of PMI?
Yes, sir. I'm a member since last maybe 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Wonderful. So you will get the rebate for your certification. So okay, because you are
Yeah.
going to be appearing in both the exams, so I would suggest that you can only open one application at a time. So you decide
Sure, sir.
which application are you going to do first. You are going for PMP first or RMP first. If you ask me, I would say go for PMP first, right? So complete one assignment. After you have passed it, then open the RMP application. Do not try to fill both applications because one application will be
Okay.
entertained, other will be put on hold. Anyways,
Hmm.
do you get my point? So for you,
Yes,
my
sir.
suggestion is apply for PMP now and appear in that. And once you pass that, then you can start filling in the RMP application. But you should not wait after that. Immediately after PMP, within a month, you should appear in the RMP exam.
Yes, sir. Because the total window is 2 to 3 months only.
Yeah, of course. And I don't think that you need more time. Within 3 months, you must have both of these certifications.
Yeah. Yeah. I acquired training 2 3 times for
PMP.
since PIM book 4.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know because of the strenuous job routine, I'm unable to get some time.
But make up your
So
mind
yeah.
this time and do not delay. Just go.
Inshallah.
Okay.
It
Uh,
is
So,
high time now. Yeah.
so you can apply online, and once you are applying online, um, you can start your application process as I have shown you. Um, your application will open and will remain open for 90 days. If you do not complete
Okay.
it in 90 days, they will close your application. But 90 days means 3 months. That is too much time. Why do you need 90 days for that? You just need 5 to 10 days to fill the application maximum. And naturally, it cannot be done in one single sitting. You have to collect data, bring data into it, and there are multiple pages you have to fill. So within about 5 to 10 days, you will be able to complete your application. Once you have done that and submitted your application, there is a specific button which says submit. Once you have submitted your application, after that, within 5 days, PMI will send you application completeness review. That means that PMI is telling you that your application is complete. It doesn't say that your application is approved. It says your application is complete, meaning what? That you have filled in application correctly. That's it. They still need to check whether your application has right claims made or not. So once that is done, you would be told whether your application has been selected for audit or not. Audit is a random process. 10% of all applicants are chosen for audit purposes. If your application is chosen for audit purposes, all the claims you have made in your application, you probably have to, prove all of them. And the procedure for proving that is PMI will send you transcript forms by PDF file through a PDF file by email. That would include all those items which needs to be checked. So if you say you have done your graduation from this university, so that specific transcript form you have to take to that university, and whatever person you have mentioned and provided email and phone number in your application, you take it to that person, and that person will fill that transcript form privately without your knowledge, put it into an envelope, seal the envelope with his signature, and hand over the envelope to you. Similarly, if you have done job in some organization, in your application you must have written who you report to and what is his email address and telephone number. So you will take that transcript to that person and he will do the same. So you collect all the transcripts within next 4 or 5 days and courier them to PMI. You can't email them because they are sealed envelopes. You can't open them. You have to send them by post. And courier is the fastest means. So say you take 5 days in getting these things filled, another 4 or 5 days or 7 days it will take to get to PMI. So about 12 days or maybe 15 days, they have given you 90 days. So you have been provided with 90 days to fulfill the audit requirements. But if you can do it in 15 days, wonderful. After they have received your application, they will then ask you, their audit documents, they will then ask you to submit your payment. So you can submit your payment online. And once you have done that, you will get an eligibility letter. That eligibility letter will stand good for 1 complete year from the date you have been approved. And in that 1 year, you have an opportunity of appearing in the exam for a maximum of 3 times. Meaning what? That though you have to pay for your subsequent attempts, but your application will not have to be sent again, and the processing fee for the application will not be charged anymore. At least for these 3 attempts, there is no processing fee. So next time the exam may cost you much lesser. But we are not counting on that. We do not want you to be, attempting for the second or third time. We wish that you will be passing the exam the very first attempt. But because this facility has been provided to you, I will very strongly recommend that you plan according to that. Although we all agree that we must appear within next 2 to 3 months and pass this exam, that is the best approach we can do. But if at all you were considering the 1 whole year, then I would say your first attempt must not be later than 6 months. Within next 6 months, you must take on your first chance. Because if God forbid you fail, you still have 6 more months to attempt 2 times more. Second precaution is, do not get angry with PMI if you fail. Because if you are angry, you will try to appear in the exam immediately after few days, and you will not postmortem yourself and see what you have done wrong, and therefore you will fail again due to the same reason. So give yourself good 2 to 3 months time after you fail the exam to prepare, to find your flaws, bridge those flaws, and then appear in the exam. And again, if God forbid still you can't make it, then again give yourself about 3 months, and this time you consider it as your last opportunity. Although this is not your last opportunity, if anybody fails for 3 times, they are banned from applying for the certification again for 1 year only. So next 1 year you can't apply. After 1 year you can apply again, but it never happens. I have seen only one odd case in which a person has failed 3 times. Otherwise, everybody passes. You are spending good money, and naturally you are not going to waste it. It's not your father's money, it is your own money. You're earning yourself, and therefore you have a lot of pain about it. And I am 100% sure that you are going to pass it the very first time. So, but still, these precautions must be taken into account. So, as I said, for you, Shahid Saab, 2 months for PMP and another 1 month for RMP, inshallah, you will do it. For Khayyam and Mohit Saab, again, the same time frame, 1 to 3 months is your target, not later. You are fresh, you can immediately go and pass. Okay, so then you will be you'll be getting your eligibility letter, and that eligibility letter will provide you a password and your username. Eligibility number will be provided, and through that you will be able to. You will also be provided a web address on which you can book your exam. Previously, there used to be Sylvan Prometric testing centers. They are going to be discontinued. Rather, probably they have already been discontinued. And by the time you are going to appear, it will be in the new centers. And new centers are Pearson View. VUE. VUE means Virtual University Enterprise. So it is by Pearson. Pearson View centers. There are more centers in Pakistan. Um, Sylvan Prometric centers were very few, but these Pearson View centers are much more in Pakistan. In probably every city of Pakistan, they are there. So you can book your exam online in any of the centers in Pakistan. You don't have to go to that center. You just have to go to their international site and book your exam. Choose your center, your choice of center, and choice of time and day. All is your choice. The only thing is it has to be a working day and it has to be a 4-hour slot, which should be available in that test center. Depends upon how many computers they have and how busy they are. So once you appear in the exam, you will be offered how many questions? I think 170 questions. I'll just show you how many questions are there. Once you pass this exam, you will be awarded with the certification PMI RMP for 3 years. And after every 3 years, you have to renew it. Your certification cycle is 3 years. So after 3 years have completed, you have to show 30 professional development units acquired during these 3 years, and these 30 professional development units would be specialized in risk management only. So once you have proven that you have attained these 30 professional development units, after 3 years, you will be allowed to renew at a fee. And normally the fee is $30 or $60, something like that. $30, I think. I'll just tell you that. So your credential will be renewed. And if you do not renew it in time, like three years have passed, you have not attained your 30 PDUs or you have not renewed. I had seen a case where the person had all the PDUs, but he ignored to renew his membership. his credential, and ultimately it was relegated. It was completely expired. So you must be mindful of the fact that your credential is about to be renewed. So you should renew it within 3 years. If you do not renew it in 3 years, your credential will be suspended for 1 year. Suspended means you cannot write PMI RMP with your name anymore, but it is not completely expired. You have been granted 1 more year to complete your remaining PDUs. So if you can complete your PDUs anytime during this year, you can renew your credential and ultimately regain your PMI RMP status. But remember, it is not from the date of regaining the status that your cycle starts. Your cycle had already started after 3 years. So your cycle will start from the date it expired. Previous cycle had expired. From that day onwards, your cycle starts. So it doesn't give you any advantage by renewing your certification credential during the suspension period. Rather try to avoid the suspension period. That is a bad time. So once you have done that, you will regain your RMP status. But if you don't, if you waste the 4th year, this one complete year which had been given to you, you don't gain those 30 PDUs or you don't renew your credential, then your credential will be permanently expunged, expired. And if at all you require to gain it again, you have to apply right from the outset. The whole process have to be repeated right from the beginning. So this is the application process. Any doubts about the application process?
No, sir, all clear.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, let me move on. Okay, okay, prerequisites for RMP. There are two types of people who can apply for RMP certification. Number one, those who have got bachelor's degree. That means 16 years of education in Pakistan. 16 years of education. If you have 16 years of education, you just need to show 3,000 hours spent in specialized area of project risk management. In last 5 years, 5 consecutive years, previous 5 years, you must show 3,000 hours experience in project risk management. If at all you have been employed as a risk manager for last 2 years, that will complete your experience. That means approximately 1,500 hours per year. So 2 years is the minimum time required and maximum is 5 years. So in last 5 years, you have to show 3,000 hours. And in addition to that, 30 contact hours of formal education. This course we are conducting is almost how much? This is 40 hours. We are having 40 hours of training. So 30 contact hours is no problem at all. So this you can put up as a proof. Ji Shahid sir.
Sir, it's about 2 years of risk manager, but what if the person is handling normal projects? So the risk management part is very minimal,
Then
though the other areas are covered. So then what is the best approach then?
then you have 5 years. You have consecutive 5 years. Last 5 years, you must have been doing some risk management. And the sum of the risk hours should come out to be 3,000. Meaning about 3 hours per day of risk management. What do you say?
Okay.
I
I
think
don't
that
know, I have to check and calculate. But I have filled up my application twice for PMP.
okay,
But you have those 5 categories, how much time in terms of percentage you have spent on initiation or for the
yeah,
planning or for the other part. So
exactly.
for this risk management, for this exam, So risk could be involved in any of those areas,
Any of those
but
areas, exactly.
within, yeah. So within a normal project life cycle,
Just show the same project.
I don't know, maybe, yeah,
The
okay.
same project you have
But
in PMP, just show the same projects, but show your risk management experience. The hours of only risk management experience.
yes, I got it now. Yeah,
There'll be no problem. You see, in PMP you had 4,500 hours to show, right?
yeah,
And out of 4,500 hours, it is not difficult to extract 3,000 hours. And that 4,500 hours in 3 years, he's talking about 5 years.
5 years, yeah, okay, yeah.
That won't be any problem, inshallah. So,
Sure, okay, yeah.
so this is what applies to you. But for anyone who is not having a 16 years bachelor education, that people can also apply for RMP. But then their experience requirements are more. 4,500 hours spent in specialized area of project risk management in last 5 years. So the bar has been raised from 3,000 to 4,500 hours, and the education requirement has been raised from 30 hours to 40 hours. But I hope all of you come under the lower category, 4-hour degree. Is it so, Mohit?
Yeah, I saw your email. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
you are both going to come under this 3,000 hours and 30 contract hours. So just fulfill the 3,000 hours criteria. You already are a bachelor's degree holder. You already have attained the 30 hours. So just worry about the 3,000 hours of risk management. Okay.
And this is specifically for the pilot 2, Sinan? Or
This specifically for?
all right.
Please say again, Mohit. जी मोहित आप क्या कह रहे हैं?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Now about the fee. I hope you already know.
Not exactly, yeah, but we have to approximate it.
What approximate? Okay. चलिए. Let's see. The fee, I hope you already know it. If you are a member of PMI, you just have to pay $520 for this exam. This is a little bit more than the PMP exam, but this is a senior level of certification. RMP actually is a PMP plus kind of a certification. You don't expect only risk related questions in this exam. This is a complete PMP exam. This is a complete PMP exam with specialized questions in risk management. So don't assume you are just going for a risk management exam. This is going to be a bit tough because all those people who just prepare for risk management and go for this exam, they are very likely to fail. If you are not a PMI member, you have to pay $670 as a non-member. So I think this is always beneficial to be a member and avail this $520 benefit. Okay, how much do you pay if you have to renew this certification? $60 is the fee after 3 years. When you are renewing your certification, you will pay $60 for your certification renewal. But if you are a non-member, you will have to pay $150. So I think only that much information was important from here. Okay, the number of questions. There will be 170 questions in your exam. 170 questions. And the total time allowed is 3.5 hours. Right? Out of these 170 questions, 20 will be pre-test questions. These are unscored, but you do not know what are the pre-test questions because the pre-test questions are mixed into the exam. The exam will be presented to you as a 170 question exam. And within that 120 question, there are 20 questions which are mixed into it and which are not going to be marked. These are the test questions. So if you do not consider the test questions and just do your exam of 170 questions, that will be fine, because this is just confusing that this question must be test question, so I should not do it, or I should not, properly do it. So better do all the questions with the same concern and same effort. Forget about the test question thing. There are 170 questions. You have got 3.5 hours, and this is what you have to do. Okay, we will talk about it tomorrow, but there are 5 domains in which we will be preparing you for the exam. Number 1 is the risk strategy and planning, and I will be discussing with you the various tasks. There are 5 tasks in risk strategy and planning, and you will get 19 to 20 questions from that area. Second domain is stakeholder engagement. There will be 9 tasks, 19 to 20% will be in the questions. Third domain is the risk process facilitation. There will be 7 tasks, 25 to 28% questions. Risk monitoring and reporting, there will be 7 tasks and 19 to 20% questions. And last but not the least is the domain 5, perform specialized risk analysis, 3 tasks, 14 to 16% questions. So this is your syllabus, and this is your total distribution of exams. Syllabus will be talking tomorrow. Today I am going to leave you here. I think there is nothing important in this booklet. Or you can read through it. There is nothing important. If there is something you need to discuss, you can read through it and then ask questions tomorrow. Is it all right? Yeah.
And the license also should be burned into the devices, right? So these 2 conditions here. Okay.
Ji, Shahid bhai, any comments?
No, sir, all good.
Okay.
Sir, about the content, about the
Haan
content and presentation, you will be sharing a link, right?
I will
Later
be
on,
sharing,
maybe.
but you can download it also. I just downloaded it in front of you.
No, not these 2 books only. The other content, the presentation and the
Oh yes.
other.
Of course. I'll be sending you a link and everything. It is there. There's no problem.
Sure. Okay.
I'll share that. So I think let's call it a day, and let's meet tomorrow again at the same time. Thank you very much, and take care.
Thank you, sir.